All right, so you wanted to get inside Elon Musk's head about the future of warfare.
Yeah.
Well, we snagged a fascinating interview he gave at West Point.
Okay.
It was kind of like a fireside chat, with future Army leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, some of the stuff he said really made me stop and think.
Really?
What's so interesting about this interview is that it's not just Musk, like, casually sharing his opinions.
Right.
He's talking directly to the people who could one day be on the front lines using the technologies he's describing.
Yeah, and that setting really, I think, adds a whole other layer of intensity to what he had to say.
Doesn't it?
Sure.
Like, right off the bat, Musk basically says human soldiers at the front lines are going to be sitting ducks
Wow.
in future conflicts.
Yeah.
And his reason? Drones.
He doesn't sugarcoat it either.
No.
He paints this picture of 1,000,000 drones swarming the battlefield.
1,000,000.
Yeah, and he asks, how do you fight that off with an assault rifle? It sends shivers down your spine, honestly.
1,000,000 drones.
1,000,000 drones.
That's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it's not just sci-fi fantasy, right?
No, not at all.
And
Ukraine is actually aiming to have 1,000,000 drones
Right.
in operation by February 2025.
So this vision that he's laying out, it's already becoming reality.
It is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
1,000,000 drones, honestly, it freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, how do we even begin to wrap our heads around that kind of scale?
right.
What happens to traditional warfare in a world like that?
That's the $1,000,000 question, isn't it?
Yeah.
If the battlefield becomes primarily a drone versus drone fight, everything changes.
Yeah.
Traditional military strategies, the rules of engagement,
Yeah.
even the concept of a front line could become completely obsolete.
And then there's the whole AI factor, which Musk seems particularly fixated on.
Yeah.
He even compares autonomous military drones to wait for it.
Okay. Terminators.
Terminators.
Should we be prepping for a Skynet situation?
I don't think we're quite at the machines taking over stage yet.
Okay.
But Musk's concerns about AI are definitely worth paying attention to.
He emphasizes this concept of localized AI in drones.
Localized AI.
Yeah, which essentially means giving each drone its own little brain.
So like a mini brain in each drone.
Basically, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is.
But why is that so significant?
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
It allows each drone to operate independently without needing constant instructions from a human operator.
Ah.
So they become faster, more adaptable.
Right.
But it also raises serious questions about control.
That makes sense. And I remember reading somewhere that Musk is pretty worried about the alignment problem.
Yes.
Which is like, can we make sure that AI actually serves humanity's best interests?
Absolutely. He believes an AI driven by curiosity and a desire to understand the world is the safest bet.
Okay.
In his view, that type of AI would be less likely to turn against us.
It's almost like he's envisioning an AI that's genuinely fascinated by humans.
Yeah.
By everything that makes us pretty profound when you think about it. But getting back to the battlefield, Musk also had some pretty pointed critiques about America's approach to this whole drone revolution.
Yeah, he argues that the U.S. is strong on tech, but slow on production.
Okay.
He actually compares it to countries gearing up for the last war instead of the next one.
Right.
Which reminds me of those French soldiers in World War I still wearing bright red uniforms, making them easy targets.
Ouch. Yeah, not a good look.
Not at all.
So are we stuck in a past war mindset too? Like still fighting the last war instead of preparing for the next one?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Musk seems to think the U.S. is stuck in a Cold War mentality, focused on large-scale traditional warfare, while the future is heading towards something much more agile and technologically driven.
Right.
However, there are companies like Anduril, which specialize in autonomous defense systems, that are trying to change that.
So there's hope, yes.
There is.
But even with all this talk about advanced tech and drone swarms, we still got to come back to the human element. Can we really trust machines to make life or death decisions on the battlefield?
Right.
Like, can you really replace a human pilot's gut instinct and years of experience with an algorithm?
It's a question that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And even seasoned Apache pilots sometimes hesitate to adopt new tech.
Really?
They've spent their entire careers relying on skill and intuition, so handing over control to a machine, especially in those split-second, high-pressure moments, is a huge mental leap.
I get that. So how do we bridge that trust gap?
Right.
How do we convince even the most experienced pilots that these systems are reliable?
Well, Musk's solution is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Rigorous testing and slow incremental scaling.
Okay.
He doesn't advocate for blind faith in technology. He demands proof.
Okay.
You test the systems in controlled environments, gradually increase the complexity, gather data at every step, and prove that the tech actually works before you even think about large-scale deployment.
That seems like a sensible approach.
It does.
Especially when lives are on the line. But even with all the testing in the world, this shift to autonomous warfare is bound to be controversial.
Oh, yeah.
There are people who are going to say we're crossing a line.
Right.
That we're giving machines too much power.
Absolutely.
And Musk doesn't shy away from those potential downsides.
No.
In fact, he believes the era of the human fighter pilot might be coming to an end.
Oh.
He argues that no matter how skilled a pilot might be, they can't outmaneuver a coordinated attack from hundreds or even thousands of drones.
That's hard to imagine.
But isn't there something lost when we remove the human element from combat? What about intuition, split-second decision-making, the things machines can't replicate?
Yeah.
Is there no place for human pilots in this future Musk is describing?
Well, he doesn't completely rule out human involvement.
Okay.
He suggests there might still be a role for purely analog aircraft.
Analog aircraft.
Yeah.
Like going back to basics?
Kind of.
What would that even look like?
Well, he paints this picture of a highly skilled pilot in a non-digital plane, using their intuition and experience to evade a drone swarm.
Huh.
It's almost like a throwback to the dogfighting days.
Yeah.
But with a modern twist.
Okay, I can totally see the next Tom Cruise movie plot forming already.
Right.
But beyond specific technologies,
Yeah.
Musk also talks a lot about the qualities he believes are essential for leadership, especially in a future shaped by technology.
Right.
So what makes a great leader in Musk's world? What does he look for?
He puts a huge emphasis on deep technical understanding.
Okay.
Like, he uses this analogy of a cavalry captain who can't ride a horse.
Right.
If you're going to lead in a field dominated by technology, you have to understand the tech. You have to be able to assess its capabilities, its limitations, its potential impact.
It's not just about giving orders. It's about truly understanding the tools at your disposal.
Precisely. And this ties into Musk's first principles algorithm for innovation.
First principles.
Yeah, which is this 3-step process he uses for just about everything. Make the requirements less dumb. Delete what's unnecessary. Then optimize.
Interesting.
It's about cutting through the noise, getting to the core of a problem, and finding the most efficient solution.
It sounds like a pretty solid approach.
It is.
And not just for warfare, right?
Yeah.
I bet you could apply that to almost any problem.
Absolutely. And Musk believes it's especially important in warfare.
Okay.
You need to be able to quickly assess a situation, figure out the essential elements, and then act decisively.
Right.
And underlying all of this, Musk believes is one absolutely crucial attribute.
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Why is that so important to him?
Well, Musk believes that curiosity is the engine of all progress.
Okay.
It's what compels us to learn to explore, to constantly push the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah.
And in a world that's changing as rapidly as ours, curiosity is more essential than ever.
He sees it as essential for success, not just for future military leaders, but for everyone.
And he leaves us with this powerful image.
Okay.
America as Atlas, holding up the free world.
Wow.
And the people in uniform as the arms of Atlas.
That's powerful. It's a powerful image. And I think it's important to remember that throughout this interview, Musk isn't just talking about, like, tech specs and drones.
Yeah.
He's really laying out, like, a whole philosophy for navigating this rapidly evolving landscape.
You're right. It's not just about the hardware. It's about the mindset, too.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we were talking about building trust in autonomous systems before.
Right.
Yeah. It seems like even with all the testing Musk advocates for, there's always going to be that element of uncertainty.
Yeah, there is. And it's not just about, like, whether the technology works as intended.
Yeah. Right.
It's also about the people developing and deploying it.
Yeah.
Musk stresses the need for deep technical understanding, particularly in leadership roles.
It goes back to that analogy of the cavalry captain who can't ride a horse.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're making decisions about AI and warfare, you absolutely have to understand how these systems work.
Yeah.
What their limitations are and where things could go wrong.
For sure. And it's not enough to just be informed about the technology.
Right.
Musk believes you need a genuine hunger for knowledge.
Okay.
A constant drive to understand not just how things work, but how they can be made better.
Okay.
He calls this curiosity.
Right.
And he sees it as absolutely vital.
We touched on curiosity before, but I'm curious to dig into that a bit more.
Okay.
What does Musk mean by curiosity in this context? It's more than just wanting to know stuff, right?
It is. It's about having a questioning mind, a willingness to challenge assumptions, and a desire to constantly push the boundaries of knowledge.
Okay.
And in the context of warfare, that curiosity needs to extend beyond the technology itself.
So it's about asking the tough questions.
Yeah.
Like, how will this technology impact the lives of real people on the ground?
Right.
How will it change the way wars are fought? How do we ensure it's used ethically and responsibly?
Exactly. We can't just focus on the cool factor of new technologies.
Yeah.
We need to engage in those difficult conversations about the broader strategic, ethical, societal implications.
Yeah.
And that requires input from multiple perspectives, not just engineers and military leaders.
It's a team effort, for sure. And one of the things that struck me in this interview was how pointed Musk was about America needing to adapt, to move beyond that Cold War mentality. And really grapple with the realities of this new technological landscape.
He's pretty blunt about it.
Yeah.
He sees drone warfare as inevitable and believes that the U.S. needs to be at the forefront of this transformation.
Right.
But it's not just about having the most advanced drones.
Right.
It's about being able to produce them on a massive scale.
So it's not enough to just have the brains. You need the brawn, too.
You got it.
You need the infrastructure, the resources, and the political will to turn those technological advances into real-world power.
Exactly. That's where the challenge lies. Musk argues that while the U.S. has the technical know-how, it lacks the production capacity to compete with countries like Ukraine, which is already aiming for 1 million drones in the near future.
Yeah. It's a wake-up call.
It is.
A reminder that technological superiority alone isn't enough.
For sure.
It makes you think about how the very nature of warfare is changing.
Yeah.
In the past, conflicts were defined by these massive battles, huge armies clashing on open battlefields.
Right.
But the future seems to be heading towards something much more decentralized, more asymmetrical.
Exactly. More reliant on technology information and the ability to adapt quickly.
Right.
It's less about brute force and more like a high-stakes chess match.
Yeah.
Where strategy, intelligence, and agility are key.
And that's where AI comes into play again.
Yeah.
It can analyze vast amounts of data, identify patterns, and make predictions that humans simply can't.
Right. It can help us understand the battlefield in new ways.
Yeah.
Anticipate enemy movements and make more informed decisions. But it's crucial to remember that AI should be a tool to augment human judgment, not replace it entirely.
It's about finding that balance between human and machine.
Yeah.
Using each to its strengths to create a more effective and hopefully more humane approach to warfare.
For sure.
Which brings us back to Musk's overall message.
Right. He's both optimistic and cautious.
Okay.
He's excited about technology's potential to revolutionize warfare.
Yeah.
But he's also keenly aware of the risks.
Right.
He constantly stresses the need for careful consideration, ethical implementation, and never losing sight of the human element.
He understands that we can't just hand over control to machines and hope for the best.
Right.
We have to be active participants in shaping the future of warfare, constantly asking those tough questions and making sure that technology is used in a way that benefits humanity.
Absolutely.
Not just for winning battles, but for building a safer, more peaceful world.
It's a vision that requires careful thought, open discussion, and a willingness to embrace change. And it's a vision that will undoubtedly shape the world we live in for generations to come.
It's fascinating how Musk manages to weave together these threads of technology and strategy and even philosophy when he talks about the future of warfare.
Yeah.
He's not just giving us a tech forecast.
Right.
He's really challenging us to think differently about this whole concept of conflict.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's really stood out to me throughout this conversation is that tension between optimism and caution.
Yeah.
Musk is clearly excited about the potential of technology, but he's also acutely aware of the risks, the potential for unintended consequences.
He's not some wide-eyed tech utopian who thinks AI is going to solve all of our problems.
Right.
He understands that with these incredible advancements comes a responsibility to use them wisely, ethically, and always with the benefit of humanity in mind.
And that responsibility falls on all of us,
Right.
Not just the people developing the technology, but everyone who will be impacted by it.
Yeah.
We can't just sit back and passively observe these changes. Right.
We need to be actively involved in shaping the future,
Yeah.
asking those tough questions, challenging assumptions,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that human values remain at the forefront of these advancements.
It's about more than just winning battles.
Right.
It's about safeguarding the future, preserving what makes us human, even in the face of these incredibly powerful technologies.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Musk's vision for America really comes into play.
Right. He sees America as having a crucial role in this global conversation.
Okay.
Not just as a leader in technology and innovation, but as a champion for freedom, democracy, and the values that underpin a just and humane world.
He uses that incredibly powerful image of America as Atlas holding up the free world.
Wow.
With those in uniform as the arms of Atlas.
It's a powerful image.
It's a reminder of the immense weight of responsibility that comes with leadership.
Yeah.
The need to act with wisdom, courage, and a deep understanding of the stakes involved.
It's a heavy burden, but it's also an incredible opportunity.
The decisions we make today about how we develop and use these technologies will have ripple effects for generations to come.
And that's ultimately Musk's challenge to all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be bold, to be innovative, to push the boundaries of what's possible, but to do so with a sense of responsibility, with our eyes wide open to the potential consequences, and always guided by that insatiable curiosity.
He's not telling us to fear technology or to blindly embrace it. He's asking us to understand its power, to recognize its limitations, and to use it in a way that aligns with our values, our goals, and our shared humanity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Elon Musk's vision of the future of warfare, we want to leave you with a final thought.
Right.
The future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create through the choices we make, the questions we ask, and the actions we take.
Yeah.
What resonated with you from this conversation? How has it changed your perspective?
Yeah.
Keep thinking about these questions because the future is being written right now.
Yeah.
And we all have a role to play in shaping it. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.